I have a question for you. How many thoughts a day do you think you have? How many thoughts a day? Have you ever stopped to count them? Ever wondered about them? Science says you have about 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day. My question is, who counted them? But more than that, science also says that most of those thoughts are negative. Most of those thoughts are critical. Most of those thoughts are the same ones, and you just keep repeating them. So here's another question. If you're just recycling negative thoughts, how does that help you feel healthy or happy or wealthy or get any of the things that you're longing for? But I have good news. I have good news because on today's show, we're going to reveal a technique to help you take control of the path of your own mind, the path of your thoughts, the path of your thinking, and to move in a direction that is happier, healthier, lead to greater wealth, and overall benefit you, your family, your friends, and the planet itself. How cool is this? So what if this show ends up being a turning point in your life? What if this technique that we teach you today is the one that you end up relying on because it's so easy, it's so fun, it's so practical that you want to use it, you want to teach it all the time? What if what I'm telling you is going to be a defining moment in your life? What if? I'm Dr. Joe Vitale, and welcome to my online television show. It's called Zero Limits Living. And what I'm here to do is to inspire you, to motivate you. I'm bringing fire, I'm bringing light, and occasionally I'm bringing lightning bolts. And I'm throwing them at you because what I want to do is awaken you. I want to awaken you to a new life, a new way of being. I was homeless. I was in poverty. I know what it's like to struggle, but I've transcended that. Now I'm turning around and helping everybody else as best I can. So today I have a spectacular guest. This is a friend of mine that I've known for about 20 years at this point. Amazing. One of my most favorite people in the entire world, probably in the galaxy. This woman is always smiling, always happy, always creative, always enthusiastic, always motivational. And this woman wrote a book called What If It All Goes Right? What If It All Goes Right? And as you can see, I'm talking about Mindy Audlin. And Mindy, I hear you and see you. How are you?
I am fantastic, and I am thrilled to be here on your new show. This is so exciting. I'm so honored to be your second guest.
Well,
Episode 2.
And that's right. This is episode number 2. We're doing these on a weekly basis. So every Friday, there's a new show. Some of these shows I'm going to have guests, and some of these shows I'm just going to hog all to myself. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to rant and rave about something that I think is important. But very often I need somebody to help me do it. And in this particular case, I need you. I want you.
I am ready. My sleeves are rolled up. Let's do it.
Well, people have often asked me if I'm a member of a secret society because they know, well, you went through a lot of struggling and then you seem to have a breakthrough and then you seem to have all these successes. So they asked me, Joe, are you a member of a secret society? It used to frustrate me because I wasn't. And then I thought, oh, wait a minute. Now I am. Now I am. I am a member of the What If Up Club. I am a what if upper, and my shirt says it. What if
yes, you
upper.
Are.
I'm not only a what if upper, I walk around telling people, what up? What up? Which they don't understand at all. And so far, nobody on this show understands what we're talking about. So, Mindy, what is this all about? Why do you say in the book, what if it all goes right? Why even that question?
Well, you said it already, Joe, when you said we have so many thoughts each day. And if you look at where those thoughts are going, a lot of those thoughts are leading us into these dark tunnels that, there's anxiety in the world, there's overwhelm. I mean, there's so much stress and people are going down these dark spirals and feeling just overwhelmed by all the challenges of our times. I mean, those challenges are real. So what do we do with that? Well, we can go, what if I can't? What if it all goes wrong? We all know that question. What if it all goes wrong? What if someone else could do it better? What if this is as good as I get? All that, those downward thinking, those downward what ifs, we call that what if downing. But that's just your imagination. Your imagination is cranking out these thoughts. And if your imagination can go down that spiral, it can also go up. And we call that what if upping. It's taking the power of the imagination, that little question, what if, turning it around so that it uplifts us and inspires us and gives us hope. What if we can? What if it's easy? What if this secret society is available to everybody and these smiles and the joy and the resilience is available to everybody? So that's what it means to me to be a what if upper.
As long as I've known you, I have always seen you smiling. So my question is, do you smile all the time?
Do I smile all the time? No, I don't. I typically, before I am connecting with friends, before I get on stage, I like to have dealt with whatever challenges are going on in my life. So this is what people see. But what I will share is, we all have challenges. And last year, if you didn't walk through last year without a challenge, I don't know how you did it. Challenges help us grow. We need those challenges. We need that contrast in order to grow. The question is, how do you respond when those challenges show up? Do they break you down or do you process through them? And what I found, Joe, is using this technique that we're talking about today is I can process through challenge far quicker than most people I know. And that's really what we help people do is when there is stress, when there is anxiety, when there is a goal and we can't figure out how to get there, what do? Do we wallow in our despair or do we rally and find hope? And so this process is a way to strengthen your neural connections so that your brain is wired to find the solution. So even though I have challenges, I'm very, very good at working through them and finding solutions.
And so that leads to the question is, what if upping something an individual can do? I'm a member of a group. It's not a secret society. There is a group for the What If Up Club, but can individuals do that on their own?
Yes, absolutely. So the great thing about the What If Up process, so it's basically you're just identifying there's either something in front of you that you want and you don't know how to get. So you can, what if there's an easy way? What if I look at this differently? What if I ask for help? So anytime you want something, you can use this process to find creative ways to get there. Same thing is true if there's something you don't want. So here's this thing that showed up. I don't want that in my life. I want that to go away. So I can use the what if up process, say, well, I don't want to be late. So what if I'm on time? What if I find a shortcut? What if they're late too? So we can take those things that are stressing us out and we can what if up a new way of looking at those, or we can take a dream and we can plus it. So you can use it in all kinds of different ways. We talk about this secret club. It's not a secret. It's the What If Up Club. And it's, everyone's going to know about it before you know it. But as much as you can benefit by doing it on your own, there is a magic that happens when you come together. And so that's what the What If Up Club is about, is bringing people together so you can find your tribe where you're surrounded by people who, we're not superhuman. We all have challenges and things that we're working through, but we work through them in a community where we have this lingo, we have this culture that is positive and proactive in finding solutions.
Which is contrary to what's out there for most people.
Yeah.
Because most of the planet is doing the what if down. And I want to make sure that people understand this so that they really get it and begin to use it. Because my commitment is to really making a difference to the people that spend the time coming to view this show. So I want them to learn the technique so they can use the technique. And then if they like it, they can continue to use it. If they want to join with other people, as you say, it's not a secret society. People can join and we'll tell them how a little later. So first of all, I wrote the foreword to your book and I reread it today because I was thumbing through your book going, man, I really like this book. Then I thought, who wrote the foreword? And I went and read it and I thought, oh, that was great. It reminded me that when I was in Russia the first time and I was talking to them and doing the storytelling and the typical things that I do, they weren't quite relating to it. I had to go through a translator, so it was impatient and there was a lot of lack of communication. And then I decided to teach the what if upping process to them, giving full credit to you. And I don't know if you had your book at that time, but I taught it to them and it transformed the entire room, which in the foreword I said transformed all of Russia. And eventually that may happen. There'll all be what if upping in Russian. But I taught them, and this is where I'm going with this, is that most of us are experts at what if downing. And that's where we play with the idea of what if it doesn't work out? Can you give me a couple of examples of what if downing so people can relate to and go, oh, I do that. That's what if downing.
Oh, it happens all the time. So, you have an idea, this flash of inspiration, or maybe you see something, you're like, oh yeah, I want this. And then your brain starts saying, well, what if it's too expensive? Or what if I can't? I have a business I want to start. I know there are entrepreneurs watching this right now who have a business idea and you're thinking, well, what if somebody else has already done it? Or what if it won't make enough money? Or what if I don't have the capital to get it started? And so we go down this spiral. And what happens is because our thoughts are connected to our emotional state, and when we're thinking thoughts that are taking us down that spiral, our emotional state goes it's like a flat tire. And how can you go anywhere in your business when you got a flat tire? So the actions we take are not actions that will create the reality that we want. So that's what happens when we what if down, is we talk ourselves out of things. We end up recreating the same thing we've always had. And it feels like being stuck, but it's not stuck. It's just creating what you've always created in the past.
So let me pause you right there for a second, though, because I want to make sure everybody's following this. When people do that, a part of the reason they're doing it is that they feel they're being realistic. They feel that this is the way it is. So why not just stop myself from being disappointed? Why, first of all, is that the way it is? Why do they assume that this is reality for me? You and I both know, and I don't want to put words in your mouth because we've been friends for a very long time, so we can finish each other's sentences here and one or the other can do the show. But I want this to come from you. Why are they doing it and thinking this is reality? Why deceive myself with this?
Yeah, let me answer that with a story. So I was living in Texas. I went and met we just moved to this new house and we'd gone to a neighborhood block party. So somebody invites me into their house. And of course, the standard question is, so what do you do? And I said, well, I'm an author and a speaker. And like, tell me about your book. And I said, well, the name of my book is What If It All Goes Right? And the guy I was talking to was like, whoa, I don't want to go there. And I went, why wouldn't you want to go there? Why is it that we want to go down that what if it all goes wrong? We will prepare for every worst case scenario and there's no one questioning us. It's like, that's like, oh, of course you have to do that. But when we flip it the other way and say, I want to be fully prepared for my best case scenario. I want to know what it looks like. I want to know what it feels like. But I think the resistance that I've seen to that is when you allow yourself, when you give yourself permission to visualize your best case scenario, there's that part of your brain that says, well, that's not going to happen. That's my best case scenario. That is everything going right. So by visualizing that, aren't I setting myself up for failure? Right? So that's sort of the mindset is if I have this best case, if I have my vision board with all of my dreams on it, and then I don't do it, then I'm labeling myself a failure. So one of the things I talk about in the book, and this is probably, I think, one of the most powerful pieces of the book, is this idea of non-attachment. It's to be able to play with the ideas, to be able to play with the vision, to have fun with it. We're very, very big on fun, to have fun with it and not be so tied in knots about, well, I have this goal that I'm driven now to achieve, but rather to hold it as a vision like a child does when you give them a bunch of Play-Doh. What do you want to make? I don't know. Let's smash it up. Let's see what we create. So what if you create your business like that? What if you create your relationships, your family relationships? Like, what if you take on self-care that way? What do I want my life to look like in all these different aspects? And how can I playfully sculpt that clay, as you say, in The Secret? How do I sculpt that to create the reality that I want and not get so hung up on if everything doesn't go exactly to plan? I tell people the book is not called What If It All Goes to Plan. It's called What If It All Goes Right? Yeah. And when we're lined up, sometimes it doesn't look exactly the way we think it's going to look. But what if it really is lining up for us if we can just trust and believe in it.
And so, what if down we're all so familiar with, because that's what we do. We talk ourselves out of it. What if it goes wrong? What if it doesn't work out? What if I fail? What if I'm embarrassed? What if I go broke? So we know what if down. We've got that. We're pros. We got black belts in it. So what if up? What would, and I'm going to throw this one as a fireball at you here. We're still in COVID. We still have a pandemic traveling around, and the virus is split, and who knows what it is, depending on who you talk to. How do you what if up something like that?
Oh, if ever there was a time, to be a what if upper, this is that time.
Beautiful.
Because what happens, and you spoke about this in your introduction, is, our brain is this amazing, efficient machine, right? And it's going to do what it's been trained to do, because that's the most efficient thing to do. But sometimes what it's been trained to do is take us down those dark spirals, and it's not really working. So how do you change that? Well, you have to kind of prune those neural connections. So, and I saw this happen during COVID. So we have, we're very big on small groups, mastermind groups, what if up groups. And and we all do, we do socials together, we do service together. There's all kinds of things, all kinds of reasons for that. But when COVID came around, what we found was a lot of groups were like, oh, well, I can't get out. So that means I can't socialize anymore. That means I can't do service projects anymore. All these things that we used to do, we can't meet in each other's living rooms anymore. We can't do this, we can't do this, we can't do this. And so they stopped. And so that's when we were like, whoa, we don't stop. We're what if uppers. We innovate. We think around it. And I think if you were to look at one of the blessings of what we've been through together, it is the opportunity to get creative, the opportunity to do things in ways, to make changes that we might have never made before, that we knew we needed to make. We knew we needed to learn technology. We knew we needed to get our businesses online, but we didn't do it because it wasn't convenient. Well, now there's no other option. So a lot of us have you have two ways of looking at it. You have the what if downers who were waiting for it to go back to normal, which it never will. And then you have the what if uppers. They're like, okay, here's what I have now. Here's the Play-Doh that's been plunked down in front of me. What can I mold out of this? It's not what I'm used to. It's a different color. It's a different texture. What can I make now with these resources? So sometimes I think the creative process, you don't really know how creative you can be until you've had obstacles put in front of you. And we have had our share of obstacles put in front of us. And it's those obstacles that allow us to get creative. That's when we need it the most, is to train our brain, to train those neurons when we see an obstacle, not to go off the cliff, but to rise into it, to take off like a kite, to use that resistance to go higher than we've gone before. And that's what's possible when you use this as a practice.
You're a ray of sunshine. I just love how you're illuminating all of this for us. So what I think would be useful for people is to give them a story or two of an individual that was facing a problem. And it could be a health problem, it could be a money problem, it could be any number of things, whatever comes to mind. But do you have a favorite story or two that illustrates how what if upping helped an individual so we can understand it and relate to it?
I absolutely do. The person that comes to mind, she's a member of our What If Up Club, and she joined last fall. She had a friend who was kind of concerned about her, and so invited her in, actually paid for her to come in, like sponsored her in, said, you got to be part of this thing. You got to be part of this thing. And when she first came in, I remember that, I know I'm not supposed to worry, but I was kind of worried about her. I mean, she was, and I don't worry about much, but I was worried about her because she had it all. I mean, she had health challenges. She had financial challenges. I mean, she had as a surgery, she gained a lot of weight, and she was not happy. She was stressed. She was anxious. I mean, she just had a heavy, heavy load. And it was fascinating to see, one, teaching her the process and seeing her start to take micro steps. So starting by, I'm going to take a walk today. She knew she needed to lose the weight because it was affecting everything. It was affecting her health, and it was affecting her business, and she couldn't work and all these things. So she started with walking. And so she's like, well, what if I just take a walk? And then she'd find herself on these walks, and she would say, well, okay, I walked to the mailbox, but what if I walk to that stop sign? What if I take 2 more steps? What if I take 10 more steps? What if I do it again tomorrow? What if I share my success? And so she started doing that. And then we started seeing her where she would share in our community. We have an online community And she would share out of gratitude, and this is that karmic marketing that you talk about. Out of gratitude, she shared, she's like, I used to play music and I haven't for a while, but I'm inspired to give you a song to say thank you. So we heard her play the piano, and then we saw her losing weight, and then we saw her photography, and then we saw, all these different things she started creating, this Instagram account that's amazing, her blog, she started writing. All of these things started flowing out of shifting that momentum from all the things she couldn't do, all the things that were going wrong, all the things that were hard. Those were still present, and some of them still are, but the momentum shifted. Now it's not momentum that's getting worse and worse. Now the momentum is every time we hear from her, here's the latest win. Here's the thing I'm celebrating today. Here's the latest milestone. And, and it inspires all of us. It has all of us wanting to get out there and be healthier. It has all of us wanting to find our gifts and our passions and do more of it. So it's amazing how, and I just finished your book, Karmic Marketing, which is absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely, highly recommend it.
Oh, thanks.
That's what this is. It's getting out of your, it's like we have our own thing and we can what if up that. But when we what if up with each other, and I talk about what if upping, it's a process that we do with each other. So you tell me what you're working on, what your challenge is, and I will gift you with my ideas, with my enthusiasm. I will gift you with positive thoughts and positive intention. And it's just phenomenal to see what happens for the people who receive those ideas, but also to see what happens for those who are generating those ideas for others without attachment. Truly like a karmic experience.
Well, I've been in enough of the small groups with you to know what that feeling is like. There is an energetic roller coaster that goes on that is exhilarating. Mm-hmm. And I know that when I'm in it's a mastermind group, but we're what if upping as a small group, I let it go. I let it rip, meaning that there's no lid on ideas. I'll talk about opening a business on Mars. And part of it is, I got no clue how to do it, but I know they're going there.
Yeah.
Eventually they're going to need a gas station or an electric volt station. They're going to need things. Mm-hmm. So my mind knows how much fun that is to do it for other people, mm-hmm. not just for myself. Yeah. Now, I also want to give a story of working with you. You came to visit me one time when I was still living in Central Texas. And it just happened to be a month or so out from when I was going to go on stage as a singer-songwriter leading my band of legends on an opening night at a nightclub in downtown Austin. And I was terrified.
I remember.
I was terrified, absolutely terrified. And I'm openly saying this because being on stage as a speaker is one thing, which I've done for decades at this point. Being on stage as a singer-songwriter, fronting my own band in front of a live audience is terrifying. First, because I had never done it before. And then second, I had read enough interviews from different people, like actor Kevin Bacon, who has his own band, says every time he goes out, he's scared blankless. He's terrified of it. So I was preparing by what if downing. Mm-hmm. I was going, as much as I know about this, and wrote the forward to your wonderful book. Here I am, what if downing? What if I forget my lines? What if I'm an idiot? What if I don't sound good? What if they don't like me? What if I collapse on stage? What if I faint? Oh, I was good. Mm-hmm. I was good at what if downing. And you were there and what if upped it. You just politely, big smile on your face, bright light in your eyes. What if it goes right? What if it is I forget all the different things, but you moved it in the direction of what if it's a great performance? What if you do really well? What if you're really proud of yourself? What if the audience really likes you? What if you and your band really get in the pocket and it's unforgettable? And that was a turning point. It helped move my needle. It helped move my stuckness. And as it turned out, I did have a great experience performing, and I got a standing ovation.
Of course you did. I love it.
There was no of course before because I was scared here. Right. So that's another example, but it's coming from me so that maybe people can relate that you can do this for anything, no matter who you are. So I have an interesting question for you. What if there's a couple because I hear variations of this. There's a couple and one spouse is really gung-ho. I want to what if up. We need to what if up all the time. But the other spouse is a what if downer.
Mm.
And there's a little friction. There's a little bit of resistance.
Yeah.
I'm sure this happens, whether it's within that family or in a business, and there's somebody resisting the idea. Like, the leader comes in and says, let's all do what if upping. And they all get copies of your great book. And then one of them holds back.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where I'm going to circle back to non-attachment, because I cannot create in someone else's experience. That's not mine to do. But what I can do is I can create in my experience. And if I'm focused on, well, this guy over here is the curmudgeon, or this woman over here just isn't getting it, I've just lost my I've just lost my vibe, because I'm focused on what they're not doing that I think they should do. So we talk about non-attachment of, what if it doesn't matter? What if it doesn't matter if nobody else in the whole world gets it but me? I can still shift my experience. And here's the fascinating thing. When I walk into a room and I am aligned and I am focused on possibility, I actually did this before our interview. It's like, what if this is the best interview ever? What if we have a great time? What if this helps people in ways that's life-changing and it's a turning point? So I'm what if upping this. And, as you do that, then it's like your presence will shift the energy of the room. And it may not be, if you let go of the control a little bit, and this is again, karmic marketing, you give your best, you put it all out there and trust that is enough, that, I'm going to bring my aligned self into this space. And there's been all kinds of, crazy studies that show that one person that is aligned and positive and hopeful and visionary walks into a space, and it's really difficult not to shift a little bit. I actually had a woman who had this exact scenario with her father. She lived with her father, and she was like, she was so into it. I love this book. I love this process. It's changed my life. All these great stories, but my dad doesn't get it. He thinks I'm wacko. He thinks this is nuts. So what she did was she just left the book out on the coffee table and let it go. And I tell people, you can say to someone, what if we try this? Or what if we try that? And they don't even have to know that you're doing a process. You can use it in conversation. You hear people do it all the time. In fact, I'll be in a room and someone will say, hey, what if we all do this? And everyone will look at me like, they would have upped. They would have upped. So you can do it without having to have someone go through a course with you or know that this is a process. You can just do it as a way of conversing. And I find this is really fun to do around the water cooler when you notice that there's a conversation going. And it's like going, when someone like, oh, this isn't it awful? And then boom, the whole conversation is everybody chiming in on how awful it is. And you can just feel the energy just getting sucked out of the room. All it takes is really one person standing up and saying, but what if it's good? But what if it's positive? And people will rally around that. You can shift a culture with one possibility, with one what if. And it's really fun to try. It's a really fun game to play with yourself, especially if you find yourself in a culture of other people that are what if downing a lot.
I find this a remarkable tool that we can do for our own self-awareness. For the first thing is to become aware of our self-talk. So when we realize that we are doing the what if downing, we can pause long enough to go, okay, how can we go in the other direction and what if up it? Which usually means changing the question around and the things that we're asking ourselves. And then I love what you're talking about in terms of doing it in a covert way. And you're just having a conversation with people, but you just kind of slip in, but what if it's actually for our good? Or what if we actually tried it this way? Which, as I think about it, I've done that a lot with myself and other people, very innocently, but it makes a difference. It becomes persuasive. There is a lot of great stories in your book, but I opened it earlier today, and I hope you remember the story because I know you wrote the book a while back about the football coach. And the football coach who had gone in and basically had taught them one word, but also went in with all the predictions about what was going to happen. Do you remember that story to tell us?
Oh, yeah. So it's a story about a football coach, a college football coach who's got this losing team. And he goes in and he's like, we're going to win everything. We're a winning team. And they were like, yeah, right. Sure we are. And he had them like, put your gear over there, put your uniform, everything over there. And come over here. And he writes on the chalkboard this one word. And he's like, until you know what this one word means, you don't suit up again. You don't get out on that field until you know what this word is. And of course, the word was love. And love, of course, we think of love as romantic love, but love is really, it's what we're talking about here. It's the energy of creation. It's loving where you are, not loving it like I would choose this, like this is exactly, like it may not be what you wanted, but what can I love about this moment? And, it may be that it seems like everything's going wrong, but I could say, I really love that I have this awareness. I really love that no matter what's happening around me, that I can be present. I really love that I have programs like this. I have Joe Vitale as a resource. I have this TV show as a resource that I can go to help me shift my energy. I really love that there are other people who are going through challenges too, and that we can figure this out together. I really love that I'm not alone. I really love that there are tools and techniques and people who are versed at doing this who can help me have a breakthrough. So love is not necessarily, hey, if I had it, to create anything, I would create this. Love is finding something to love. I think about those football players. When you're on the field and it's like tackling people and people chasing you and knocking you over and, it's rough. It's blood, sweat, and tears out there, but they love the game. It's where they want to be. It's what they want to do. And, as entrepreneurs, as business people, if you don't love the game, it gets really hard. But if you love it, there's nothing that can stop you.
That is such a brilliant insight. What I've said for the longest time is that if you love what you do, if you are an entrepreneur, you are in business, I pray that you love your product or your service, because by loving it, you will transform your entire experience. Now you're not just in business to make money. Now you're in business because it's a cause, it's a mission, it's a service. You want people to have your product or service because you believe in it that much that it's got to make a difference in their lives. Yeah. And that transforms your work. People look at me and say, you've written 80 books. Are you just a workaholic? And I'm looking at it like, I love writing books. I have 15 more ready to come out at some point. And Karmic marketing, that is the most recent one. And thank you for your praise for that. So love is an important concept here. But I also want to make sure that people really get the idea of how real this is. Mm-hmm. What science is behind it? What science can you bring up to support the idea of changing your mind or going in a positive direction? I'm sure there's a lot of people who think, I'd rather be negative. I'd rather complain. It feels better to do that. And I feel, again, that I'm being realistic. But what science supports the book and What If Upping?
Yeah, so there is a lot of research. And the books, I mean, it came out over 10 years ago. Like you said, we've known each other a long time, and we were What If Upping before the book even came out. Back then in the day, the Institute of Heart Math is a fantastic organization. Bruce Lipton, if you are looking for a good read, Joe Dispenza, fantastic information. Lynn McTaggart is a huge influence of mine and friend. She's got some wonderful intention experiments that show the power of your thought, and then heart math, particularly the emotions that then connect with that thought. And when you pull those together, Joe Dispenza talks about it like this. He talks about this group of monks, and they were put in this experiment, and their intent of the experiment was to see if they could, through the power of their mind, unravel a strand of DNA. I mean, that's the building blocks of what we're made of. So it's like mind-blowing that that's even possible. But they put these two monks in these different groups, these different focus groups. And for one group, they had them first test, they said, just focus on this strand of DNA and with your mind, envision that it's unraveling. And so they did that, and no real deviation. It was kind of the same old. And then they said, okay, now this time, don't focus on anything, but just emanate love, emanate compassion, emanate positive vibrations. And so they sat and they meditated and held this space of love and created this wonderful field, and nothing really significant happened. But then they did it again, and they put those together. So focus on that strand of DNA unwinding as you put yourself into this elevated state of gratitude and love and compassion. And they actually found a scientifically significant amount of that DNA actually unwound through the power of that intention. So it's not just positive thinking. It's not just feel good on the mountain, meditate. It's bringing them together so that you have the focus of what you want mapped onto this positive, heightened emotional state. It's a magic formula. And I mean, there's Napoleon Hill talks about when you're in a mastermind, there are the obvious tangible benefits of being with other people. You have more resource. I mean, you have a different network than me. I can share my network with you. We have resources we can share. So there's something on a very logical, tangible basis that happens when we come together and resource share. But there is what he calls the mastermind, which I know you know about Napoleon Hill.
Yes.
So that mastermind is, to me, it's magical. It's the magic factor that is, science is doing its best to understand it. But there is still that unanswerable question of how does it work? It's a beautiful mystery. It's, as Einstein said, either everything's a miracle or nothing's a miracle. And I just think it's all a miracle.
Yeah, I would agree. That's beautiful. You pointed out that you wrote the book in 2010, as I remember.
Yep.
So this is an interesting question. What have you discovered and learned since writing the book? You've had a decade of practice, of teaching, of traveling. You had your own radio show. You've talked to a lot of people. You've been What If Upping a long time.
Yeah.
You started the What If Up group. You've got a workbook that's coming out for the year-long diary and so forth. And what have you learned and discovered that you wish was in the book or is going to be in volume 2, whenever that
I mean, this is going to be a volume 2 or a I don't know, 10th anniversary, 12th, I don't know when it's going to come out, but there's definitely things that I've learned. The big thing that I found when the book came out, the What If Up process is so much about mindset. It's about tapping into your creativity, seeing things in a new way. So we talk a lot about thoughts and how to shift your thoughts and how to think how to create new thought patterns, how to make that your new default. I mean, that's so cool when people say, wow, happy is my new default. I always thought you were just weird faking it. Like, what's wrong with her? She's so happy all the time. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm that happy person. It's fun to see that happen for people, is to see that when they do it over time, it's like when you work out over time and next thing you know, you've got this physique that's changed. The same thing happens when you're working on your thought patterns, which What If Upping is. So the big thing that I think that I would add is we talk about thoughts, but then there's this whole heart space piece that we talk about. There's wisdom, there's discernment, there's intuition. What I love about when you're in a What If Up group is you've got people just kind of throwing these positive, upbeat ideas at you, but they're not all yours to do. And so one of the things I found over time is as you do the process, you start to feel more and more clearly which ideas are for you and which ones are not. So they're all, even if someone is giving you all positive ideas, there are some that are going to be yours to take action on. And probably the majority of them are not at this time. So what's mine to do right here, right now? Imagination is limitless. Wisdom is present. And so that's the piece that I've really been honing in on since the book came out is, ideas, I know a lot of creative people and we can what if up till the cows come home. We can create positive spins on everything. The question that I see and where I find a lot of particularly entrepreneurs, we're optimistic by nature. You don't become an entrepreneur unless you have a hope that you can make your life better by doing so. But sometimes we have so many ideas. The next step is to get really good at listening. And, so I've got all these possibilities. What's mine to do right now? What feels good right now? What do I want to take on as inspired action in this moment? And so that's kind of really become more full in the years since I wrote the book.
And I'm glad that you said that, because I know you do have a couple chapters on inspired action in the book.
Yeah.
And so that's an important one. And I wanted to make sure that you address the idea in case there's a skeptic that says this is just about generating ideas and feeling good, but you don't actually do anything. You don't actually produce anything.
Yeah.
And you're adding the fact that, well, you do have to select some ideas. You don't have to, but it would be wise to select a couple ideas and take inspired action on creating those.
Yeah. I had a woman in a What If Up circle in Austin, and we were What If Upping. This was in one of our early What If Up groups. She was single and she really, really wanted to find that forever relationship. And so she came into our circle and she was just like, oh, I'm single again. And oh, I hate that I have to go back into the dating scene. I don't like the dating scene. I don't like, all of this mix and mingle and it's all shallow. And she had this like very negative self-talk around the dating scene, but she wanted to get to this forever relationship. She just wanted to skip the dating part. So she came into the What If Up circle, and the ideas were things like, what if you just have fun? What if this is not about finding your forever person, but what if this is just about getting used to being out there and doing things that single people do and enjoying the process? What if you love the journey as much as you love finding the person? And by the time we were done, she was like this. She's like, I don't know that I can stay till the end of this meeting because I need to hit 6th Street out there and go party. She was so lit up. And that's what happens when you crank out the ideas that are uplifting and positive, and then your wisdom is like, that one, that's it. Now I'm feeling it. Now I'm inspired. The action part is actually the easy part because it's hard not to. When you all lined up, it's like, oh, I want to get to work. I want to get to my computer. I want to write that blog. I want to create that book. I want to get out there and network. I want to do these things because I am so connected with the vision of what I'm created. So that's inspired action. It's not the drudgery of, oh, I got to hit the single scene. It's the inspiration of, wow, I'm going to go have some fun.
Mindy, you are amazing. I'm going to have to end this here in a minute because I want to talk to my listeners, my viewers for a minute. Where do you want people to go? Where is your book and where is the What If Up Club?
Yeah, so join the club. I mean, if you're looking for a group of people who, and a culture that is positive and supportive, and who doesn't need that right now? So if you are looking for your place to go where every idea, I've had people say it's a place where every idea, nobody's saying, I don't think that's going to work. Like you can have a crazy idea and people will what if up it. It's like, get it even crazier. And it feels really good. So the What If Up Club, you can join the club. It's at whatifup.org. That is our community page, and would love to have you join. We're very big in paying it forward. So we have gift memberships available, inspired by Karmic marketing. So we'd love to have you be a part of our community. And then all the resources are there as well as on Amazon and Kindle and all those other places.
Thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. You're making a difference in the world. You're certainly made a difference in my life and in Lisa's life. Thank you. Everybody go get her book. It's on Amazon. And while I still have your attention, I want to say that I'm planning a lot of great shows. We're doing these every week on Fridays, and you can watch these shows on YouTube, obviously, but you can watch them on Roku, on Apple TV, on Amazon Fire, on the Lux Media TV app, the Lux TV app. You can download it and watch all the episodes, mine and everybody else's at Lux Media Studios. And I want to thank Lux Media Studios and Candace Barr and Chris for making this show happen. And I want to also tell you that what I have planned for you is, well, what if? These end up being some of the most exhilarating, informative, and inspiring shows that happen on Fridays for all of 2022. I have shows planned on money to help you break free of the limitations around that, on health to help you be healthy and happy and being able to feel like a super being, on spirituality, on peace of mind, on relationships. I'm going to do special ones on using things like the law of attraction to win the lottery. Believe it or not, there are people who have done that and more. I'm a guy who believes dreams do come true. I'm a guy who wants to give you the tools, the inspiration, the information, the practicality that you can take to the bank, so to speak. I'm not the only person that has changed my life. There are lots of people who have gone through worse things than what you've gone through. I'm here to remind you that no matter what you're going through right now, it's only current reality. Current reality is going to change all by itself. It's going to get better. But when you apply the tools like what if upping and the other things that I'll be bringing to you over the weeks to come, you'll be able to accelerate the process and get more of the results that you've been longing for, more of the results that you actually deserve. That's my promise. All I ask is show up, watch, get involved, take action, like the page, tell other people about the show, and let's cause an awakening across the planet. We can do this together. And what if? It's easy, it's fun, and it's fast. I'm Dr. Joe Vitale. I'll see you on the next episode of Zero Limits Living on the Lux Media Studios sponsorship.
Glutathione is a big word. It's the body's own master antioxidant. It's a scavenger for free radicals, bacteria, and viruses. There are no products in the market with the ingredient NASET. NASET increases the production of glutathione that's in our body already to strengthen and enhance our immune system, elevate sense of well-being, support muscle strength and endurance, cognitive function, and liver support. It helps with increased energy and blood sugar regulation. Get your bottle of GSH Plus from www.salvationnutra.com.